James, we're back for another episode of the Road Treatment Podcast.
So excited.
Wow. There you go. That's good hype, that way. Now, James, today, I don't know why you've got your computer up, to be honest with you.
Because I thought there was notes here, then it's the wrong
my
set of
notes. Yeah, I sort of kept it separate because, guys, I've got a proposal for James today. And I've been thinking about this for some time now, James. It comes back to an issue that we have in the workforce, I think. And as business owners, we've had this issue. We've been trying to combat this issue in terms of, especially at Switch, we try to make sure that people love coming to work first and foremost. And that is a huge priority of ours as employers. And then I was thinking, how can we make it even better? Because at the end of the day, we're a service-based industry. People need to come to work. We've got our staff that have friends.
People need to come into work.
Into work. Yeah,
we can't work from home.
That's right. Yeah, they've got friends and family that work from home, and you might see that and think, oh, I wouldn't mind a day at home, and we have to. We can't do that, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to combat that somehow.
You're really putting some sugar on this proposal.
Oh, I'm trying to butter this right up. You got no idea, right?
Well, I think I have an idea.
Okay. So obviously,
I don't know what the proposal is.
So the proposal is, if we can make our work week is a normal 38-hour work week. Mm-hmm. Okay, client facing. You are in the clinic, seeing clients. Okay, you cannot work from home. That's not what we do as physios. Okay, how do we make that better? Now, I've been thinking about this for a while, and then I saw some recent media about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to blow up now. And I hope you haven't seen that yet. I know you don't watch the news anyway, so you probably haven't seen it. Would you consider a 4-day work week?
Would I? That's your proposal.
That is my proposal, yeah.
That I work 4 days?
No, absolutely not. You work 7, and that's not going to change. So I'm saying, as a business, could we move to a 4-day work week?
So what?
Stumped him.
Well, I'm trying to think how that would work, right?
Okay.
Like, so yes, I don't watch the news, but I know that there's always a lot of talk about, a reduced work week, and there's a lot of talk at the moment from the government about increasing productivity and things like that, and all those kind of things. So I understand that there's a big conversation around it. But what does a 4-day work week look like? Is that 38 hours in 4 days? Is that reduced hours?
Let's discuss that. So, there's a study that has been done in 2022 in August, okay, where it was a 6-month pilot, where they worked 35 hours. So I guess everyone's work week might be a little bit different.
How much? There were 3 hours less.
Actually only 3 hour difference, which I was surprised at. 3 hours difference. They found that employees worked 80% of their previous hours, but maintained 100% of their pay.
Well, 80% of the previous hours is not
35. 35, no. It obviously depends on their
30 hours.
Okay, so it depends on
30 and a half
for
to
us.
be exact.
If we're doing a 38-hour week, 80% is
30.4 to be exact.
Okay. So let's go off that. So according to the study, they maintained their pay at 100%.
That's a 4-day work week, though.
Okay, yeah. For us, or general.
The general
80%.
In Australia, we work 38-hour work weeks. That's
okay.
The industry standard, or that's fair work standard.
Right. Okay.
Maybe there might be some industries that it differs, but majority of industries is 38 hours.
Okay. Well, this was done University of Queensland, Sydney, Auckland, University of Technology there, and Boston College. So maybe there was just some wiggle room with the hours there, but
yeah, maybe in America they may have a 40 or 42 hour work week, so it might be slightly different.
But 80% of their previous hours and maintained 100% of their pay. Okay. And the target was to obviously continue that 100% productivity that they would normally do as full-time hours or a 5-day work week, right? 95% of the companies were satisfied, okay, with the arrangement, and expressed support for continuing the 4-day work week. 96% of employees, I thought it'd be a little bit higher, 95% of the companies, 96% of the employees wanted the option to continue the 4-day work week once the trial concluded. Here's where it gets interesting. Productivity remained strong. 70% of the companies reported an increased productivity, while 30% reported no change. So they were doing the same work, or it was actually improving.
Okay.
I like this next part now because this is in our industry, the service-based industry. If we have absentees for whatever reason, we need to juggle that as best we can because costs don't change, right? They had a 44% reduction in absenteeism.
44% reduction over 6 months.
I
don't know if that's a good measure though.
That's almost half.
Yeah, but you're measuring over a 6-month period.
Yeah, from the previous 6 months.
Summer. Like, if you took the 6 months over summer,
what percentage would you like? 44% is great, regardless of summer, winter.
No, I think that's
months,
great.
Whatever.
My question here: so productivity increased or stayed the same?
Increased for 70% of the companies.
Yeah,
and then the other 30% just said it was the same.
Okay,
so it didn't change.
So the two biggest outcomes of this is that productivity stayed the same or got better.
Yeah.
And absenteeism reduced.
Yeah.
Because they worked 80% of the time.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Now,
first thoughts?
First thoughts are like, fuck, that's amazing. Like if that's
I've got your back,
reality.
guys. We're going to a 4-day week. Maybe not. I don't know.
But if that's the reality, why wouldn't you say no?
Because I think it comes exactly right. But I think for us, it comes down to who was in the studies.
Yeah, that's my next question. Is what companies were in this?
Can we do this as a service based?
No, we can't.
So initial thoughts, no chance. As a service based, because if we're now doing 30, what did you say? 30 hours, 30 and a half hours.
Yeah, you're roundabout. You're looking at 30.
That means at the end of the day, when the same amount of clients in the week aren't going to be seen, or the same amount of money that's not going to come into the business is going to be the same, how are we going to then pay the same outgoings and the same wages? Because wages didn't change. They stay on the same wages.
Yeah, so first my question is if that's the information coming out of this, that there's a 44% decrease in absenteeism, 70% of businesses recorded an increase in productivity. That's something that needs to be looked at, right?
Yeah.
But then we need to look at this study. If it was over a 6-month period, I don't think that's long enough. Businesses don't operate on a 6-month cycle. Businesses operate from a 1-year to 5-year cycle. So the study needs to be taken over a 1 to 5 year cycle. And really have a look at the impact on a business, because over 6 months, you're also not going to see the impact financially on that business, especially if there's an immediate increase in productivity. In those 6 months, you're in the honeymoon period.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, I love getting an extra day off, and nothing changes.
That's right.
Right? But what happens over the course of a year? What happens over the course of 5 years? Is that productivity sustained? Is the business's revenue, because a business can't stay the same revenue. A business needs to grow. So yeah, cool, there's a bump in productivity, but is that bump in productivity sustained, first of all? And second of all, if there is a bump in productivity and it's sustained, then does that mean that over the course of those 1 to 5 years, is the business grown, and do employees stay on the same wages? You know, they're working less. So cool, productivity may be better. We don't know. We have to use that productivity may be better. 6 months is not a good enough time frame. And if productivity is better, right, they're going to then turn around and go, why do we need more money? Are they going to be asking for pay rises as regularly as they were in the past when they were working 5 days? And then you've got to look at the types of industries that were in this study and the types of industries that actually were reporting these changes.
Yeah. And I think that's where we get a little bit stuck in sort of our industry, but which I think he actually creates a bigger problem. But we'll go into that in a second. If we just look at the companies that were involved, okay?
Oh, so you've got a list of companies.
Yeah, well, not the exact. Well, yeah, I've got some examples of the exact, but if I just use some broad terms, right? So 20 companies that were, in the study. So finance, marketing, advertising, PR type companies, software and technology, professional services like consulting, real estate, which I thought was interesting because real estate usually their weekends work, but maybe that's 2 days off during the week, 2 or 3 days off during the week. Healthcare and mental health. That did not.
What healthcare?
It was more about there was an example there, momentum, mental health. It's sort of like I don't know the details of that group, but if it's actually service-based, we can look at that. Or if it's
unless it's a hospital,
like
if it's mental health, the psychologist dealing with
I know
clients, that would be close to.
Recently, the unions of like the nurses union are really pushing it. Obviously, that's in the hospitals, but not sure if that's in that study. But fashion, retail, non-for-profit, social like enterprise, education and training as well. Okay. So there's the bundle there.
So from that list, aside from the healthcare and what did you say, mental well-being?
Yeah, healthcare and mental health. That was in the one bracket.
Okay. So apart from that cohort, there's a stark difference in the rest of those cohorts. You know, if you're talking about finance, marketing, software, all of those, even education, they're project-based businesses. They're not service-based businesses. And I think for a project-based business, it would work really, really well. Because how many times, you know, we've got friends that work in these industries, and, you know, it's well-known fact that these guys work hard, of course, but there is also a massive opportunity to fuck around throughout the day. And then when the deadline hits, everyone's working frantically, working overtime, having to stay back, all those kind of things. So in a project-based industry like those, the only thing you're changing is not the productivity. You're changing the time frame to do those projects. If you have a deadline and you're now working 80% less, the deadline doesn't change, but the time that you have to do it changes. So that increases productivity. Yeah. In a service-based industry where it's not project-based, we're seeing clients one after the other, that doesn't apply. And I'm concerned that if we are to talk, like, I'm all for finding better ways to increase productivity, better, I guess, outcomes for our employees. We talk about it all the time. You know, you've got to love coming to work. So I'm all for finding ways that you love coming to work. But I don't think that reducing work hours is viable in a service-based industry.
Yeah. It's that creates another beast because, like, the reason I'm proposing this is to sort of close that gap because, like I said, we mentioned it before, friends and family and of people in our industry are they're looking at their friends and family going, wow, they're working from home. Hey, they're going to the gym or they're going shopping or during the day or they're, taking it easy or they're working on their car or whatever it might be during the day. But then
does the company they work for know that?
Maybe not. But
no, they don't.
Maybe
they don't know that.
Well, we don't know. We can't speak for everyone, but like
They accept
they
it because
know
they don't have a choice.
Yeah, and if their productivity is the same, does it really matter? Whereas,
Yeah, of course. But there has been a massive shift post-COVID of companies across the world wanting employees back in the office.
yeah,
So,
which is their problem now, isn't it?
but why? Why are they wanting them back in the office?
So they can, like, I take it as a management issue.
Management and productivity.
Yeah,
We're having this discussion, and the government is having this discussion because the productivity level of the country, especially in Australia, has dropped off the face of the earth. Like, literally, if you were to plot the productivity, it's like a fucking cliff, right?
Yeah.
But we have to go back to the causes of that. We didn't have that issue pre-COVID. Productivity was growing.
Yeah.
So we need to have a look at the cause. And for me, the cause is we went to, and we can argue the semantics around whether it was right or wrong, but we went to working from home because of the pandemic, right? And then from there, there's a change in the work landscape. And the change in the work landscape has changed from the dynamic between employer and employee, the expectations of the employee, and then what they actually fucking do in their time.
Yeah.
Right? And yes, that needs to be taken into account. And that's why we've struggled in a service-based industry because, like you said, you know, if you work in a service-based industry and you see your friends and your family sitting at home and you have to go into the workforce, like that's hard to take. And I understand that. But now we've gone down the path of that was what's accepted. And now we're having a conversation around productivity and how to fix that. When the problem is that people aren't working at home. You can't sit here and say, oh, but did productivity stay the same? Did productivity get better because they're working from home? The stats don't lie. Yeah. It fucking dropped off a cliff, and now we're trying to find out why we need to fix it.
Yeah.
The cause of the problem was COVID. The cause of the problem is what employers had to put up with during that time, and now we're trying to fucking put a Band-Aid over it as opposed to going to the cause. That's ridiculous. I'm all for finding better ways to love coming to work.
Yes.
But let's call it how it is. We're trying to find a solution to a problem that was caused because everyone's fucking bludging at home. Sorry, man. Like, it is what it is.
No, you're right.
Did you see the guy there was a story about something that happened on LinkedIn, and this guy works from home, right, and has 3 jobs. He's applied and gotten 3 jobs.
Yeah.
Right? And whether he does the work for them or not, but majority of employers, expect that if this guy was on high salaries, right? It was in software or something like that. Like, I can't remember exactly his title, but he was decent. Like, not just, you know, you're a shit kicker software designer. Like, he was in a management position and had 3 management positions.
Yeah.
Working for 3 different companies, earning 3 high-tier salaries. Why? Because no one knew what he was doing. So long as he showed up on his Zooms.
As long as he did his job. Yeah, that's right.
Right? But it doesn't mean he did his job.
But
he showed up on his Zooms.
I guess meeting the expectations that were...
Did he?
Well,
did he? Because that's how he got caught out.
The expectations that the employer was like happy to...
Yeah, but he got caught out.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you get caught
he
out...
wasn't meeting his expectations.
Okay, there you go.
And he got caught out.
So the height of people do that.
Yeah, but hang on. I know of stories of people during COVID that, you know, were sitting there playing video games and, you know, just logged on their computer so long as it looked like they were online.
That's right. That's right.
Guys, let's call it how it is.
No,
we're talking about a productivity issue.
They all do that.
That occurred because the employer was literally had their balls ripped out of them.
Yeah.
And had zero way to navigate it. And the government didn't fucking help with that either. And then the government wanted to turn around and work out how do we increase productivity.
So...
what the fuck? Like, let's be honest.
No, I understand what you're saying. It's when I talk about like that, and that's exactly the nature of this beast, right? That we're saying like, and that we're trying to tame all the time as business owners, where you're like, it's a push and pull. Like, okay, well, and that's why I'm trying to say, do we just go and meet the market, like if the market's like, oh, well, gone are the days where the generations before us, like, work hard. If you're stressed, work even harder. Just, where productivity was high. Now it's like, how can I work less and earn more? And I deserve it.
Yeah.
And I'm entitled to this. And that, I mean, I don't want to talk about the self-entitlement issue that we have, but that's part of that beast that we have to deal with. Do we just and I guess we try to compensate or allow, I'm not sure, or tolerate it a little bit by changing some of our methods. The way that when I first started as a physio, the way that you manage me is, we talk about this all the time, is completely different on how we manage stuff now,
Yeah, and we've got to accept that. That's just the reality of the workforce.
And constantly adapting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, I was cheeky in proposing this to you. I didn't really think it was going to work, but part of that is that, do we just go, all right, well, let's just meet what this beast is wants, and then hope that it pays off?
Yes.
Or do we go, oh no, we can't. That's just going to sink us, sort of thing. Is it too far? If that makes sense.
So to answer the question, it's not just meeting the beast, it's compromising with the beast. So the reality is the workforce is always changing. It's always.
Or do we try and change it?
Like, I guarantee
ourselves?
you,
Do we try and change ourselves, and
that's part of
like,
that's
go the
part
other way.
of negotiating with the beast,
Yeah.
and creating better outcomes,
Yeah.
right? But I guarantee you, if you asked, someone who's maybe 10, 15 years older than us, or 20 years older than us, what they thought when we were coming into the workforce, they would probably be saying the same things, right? The reality is the workforce is ever changing, right? And for me, it's not about, we got to cave into the demands of no one wants to work. Well, that's not the reality. The reality is that
you can't change the reality, right?
You got to work.
The reality
you
is always
can't
there.
earn money and do nothing. That's the second that becomes an option, then yeah, let's all go for it. But until that becomes an option, and I don't think it should ever be an option.
Yeah.
I think that you're just literally wasting your life if you just sit there and can earn money and do fuck all.
Yeah.
Like you've lost vision, you lost purpose, you've lost, the core reason that we're here and we have some sort of desire to get up in the morning is because we need to do something. If we were just to get up in the morning, roll over and just fucking lay there because we didn't need to do anything, like, we would just wither and die.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reality, right?
Yeah.
So whilst the beast is forever changing, and this is why we talk, you got to love coming to work, you need to negotiate, you need to meet with that beast. We've talked about before the potentially maybe when we entered the workforce, and definitely before that, it was the expectations of the employer were set on the employee, and the employee just had to accept it and try and work as hard as they can. There was no questions asked.
Yeah.
The expectation was set by the employer. And I'm not saying that necessarily is the best way to go. The market has definitely flipped post-COVID, especially like we're talking about here, where the expectation of the employee has to be met by the employer.
Yeah.
And it creates a mismatch. There's a divide there. All right. And I strongly believe that in taming the beast, because the beast is that the employee can dictate whatever the fuck they want, to tame the beast, you need to be having the conversations going, it's not about dictating what you want. It's about how can we collaborate and work together. Because there's a mutual benefit if the business succeeds,
That's the
the
key.
employer succeeds, the employee gets a reward out of that.
Yep, that's the key.
If the employee is dictating everything and the business doesn't succeed, the business goes to shit.
Yeah.
And that's not how it's going to work. It's not viable.
Yeah. And I think that is the absolute key to this, to it working or either one working or one or falling apart, really. Like, either you meet the beast, like we were sort of saying, and then you collapse, which is not going to benefit either the employee or the employer, or you compromise. And I think transparency around that will help the employee and eventually, well, obviously the employer to both succeed.
And I think
You
that's
can't
what's more
succeed
important.
with one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we need to, and I think
But
that
this is sorry, but this going to 4 day a week really is not compromising, and it's not a mutual benefit for both parties.
but no, hang on.
Is that what you're
I
saying?
agree and disagree.
Okay.
Right. So I agree in service-based industries.
For our industry.
I can't see it right now.
So to go deeper,
I'm not saying that it's not possible. I can't see it. Because
The problem is,
here's
though,
the reality. We're talking about inflation and the cost of living going up. Now, if we are to reduce the effectiveness of work by 80%, which is a 4-day work week, and the employee gets the same wage, as a business, the only way we can afford to do that is to increase the price of our service.
That's exactly what I
Now,
was gonna
that's
bring
not a
up.
bad thing.
But
I'm all.
It's like then
But then the consumer loses out.
the consumer loses out. We end up putting it onto them. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm all for you pay what a consumer needs to understand, that you pay what's the worth of that individual. But now the worth of the individual hasn't gone up because they're better at their job.
Yeah.
The worth of the practitioner, the worth of the physio has gone up because they don't want to fucking work anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all for it. I'm all for creating a better work environment, but that's the reality.
That's
So
crazy.
is the client going to go, oh, yeah, I'll pay you, because now we have to put 20% on top of that.
So you're saying, so instead of a 5-day work week, we go to a 4-day, we're doing 30 hours, right? And they want to stay on the same amount of salary.
We have to put up our prices by 20%.
But they're not going to be able to see the same amount of clients. So then the cost per client goes up, right? So then the client that comes in is now paying more than what they were paying before.
Yeah.
But all because, and not because the physio or got better or, upskilled or became,
Correct.
I don't know, a senior role or something like that.
Overnight, we would need to do that.
Purely because the employee has gone to a 4-day week.
Correct.
The argument
I'm all for putting the prices up if the employee has immense experience, is really good at what they do. As the practitioner, we need to put a value on our service for what we do.
Yeah.
So if our value is high, it's because we are good.
Yeah.
But we're not doing that anymore.
No.
So now we're going to jump it up 20% because they want to work less.
Yeah.
That's not value.
That's huge. That's scary. Because
that's
then we
for
also
service based.
Yeah.
It would be very different for all those other industries.
Yeah. Look, in the study there was no service, no physio,
Well, they did say there was
allied
health there.
No physio, allied health, face-to-face servicing. Okay,
What
there
would
was
mean the
mental
health
there was
there?
mental health
Or
services.
group mental health.
Yeah,
services.
it was like a coaching
Oh, okay, yeah. So that wouldn't be service based.
company. Yeah. So no face-to-face service. So that is where, but the problem is, James, people aren't reading into these studies that, we've got people in our industry not reading into it, but they're seeing the headline.
The government's not looking into it. They're doing a whole inquiry based off a 6-month study. That's ridiculous.
But our industry is seeing the headline, right, and going, well, like 4-day work week, and everyone's talking about their friends and family and might be, talking to their employers about changing their week, and they talk about the burnout and what's the other one? Your favorite?
What's my favorite?
Work-life balance.
Oh,
all
fuck.
that.
Don't go there, please.
Well, that's another podcast.
We've already done a podcast on that.
But that's what they're the key things that they're saying and using, right? But then that's the problem is that I see is like that's increasing the gap between us as a service-based industry and face-to-face service to everyone else that's going to go to a 4-day work week and have a better work-life balance and mental health and all these other outcomes that it says it brings. But it's like, well, then what's the desire to be a private practice physio that's going to have to work 5 days a week? How can we make that more desirable is where this proposal came from. Really.
Yeah, and I think, I don't think anyone's going to have the perfect answer, right, on how to make it more desirable. Because we are in a difficult job. Our job's not easy. No one's job is easy, but our job is not easy. It's a difficult job, and everyone who loves being a physio loves helping people.
Yeah.
That's the reason that they do it.
Yeah.
Right. So
But that's what they say.
they say it. Then don't bullshit
generally,
to us. Then if you don't love it, then get
The
out.
people that stick around, they do.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
the job satisfaction is
Yeah, it's through the roof.
it's through the roof. Yeah.
Okay. So then I'm all for how do we make coming to work more desirable? How do we make the workplace a better workplace? I am all for that. And I think then we need to go back to what it is that people are looking for in the workplace, right? Because if it's just to cut, let's use the example. We cut down to 4 days. Yeah, cool. That might reduce burnout. That might reduce absenteeism and sick leave.
I don't think anyone would say no.
I don't think anyone would say no either. And I'm just talking hypothetically here.
Yeah.
Let's say we do that, but the place that you go to work, we're still dealing with the difficulties of being a private practice physio, and the difficulties is that we're dealing with other people's problems all day, back to back. We're dealing with immense pressure to help people, right? Which can be overshadowed if you love what you do. It can be overshadowed if you see it as rewarding to help these people. But we are also in the reality where physiotherapists, the average lifespan of a physiotherapist is 4 years. Yeah. Now let's think about why. That has nothing to do with a 4-day work week. That has nothing to do with getting paid more to do less, because it's not physically possible unless the consumer is willing to pay more. Right? It has to do with the work environment. Yeah. And I think as an industry, we aren't looking at how do we create a better work environment. We know that it's like we've talked about this in other podcasts. We talked about this in our business so many times, right? Is that the standard physiotherapy care model was walk in, sit down, like you're at a doctor's surgery, come in, I maybe see 3 or 4 people at the same time, pay your money, give you some exercises, maybe do some hands-on, put a hot pack on, and out you go.
Yeah.
Right? And then we've changed that model, right? We've changed that model where it's one-on-one care.
I'm sure everyone, just so people understand, what you're saying is like I'm sure everyone's had that experience. You go in, well, how long ago would you say that's changed?
It's still happening.
You know, it was still happening. But when was the big change, do you think? Like I remember even when
definitely over the last 10, 15 years, there's been a massive shift.
Yeah, when I was growing up at like playing lots of football, when you go to the physio, you'd get interferential, like those, for people that don't know, it's like those pad things or probe things they put in your leg and they dial it up, and they say when you like, you know, get comfortable with it, we'll turn it up a little bit more. We got those hot pack. We'll warm it up for 5 minutes. I'll be next door. What else?
But irrespective of that,
that's what you're talking about, right?
So
we've moved away from that model.
We moved away from that model.
Yeah.
And then we made it one-on-one. And there's still a mix there, right? There's still a mix of, you know, the doctor's dour, boring surgery compared to one-on-one care. Like there's still that mix there, right? But at the end of the day, that's when you talk about why people enjoy coming to work. If you were to do a study in all of those companies that you talked about that were non-service based, what do they love about going to work, right? And it'd be the team environment, and they would talk about the benefits. Like, you know, if you look at the Google model, the sleep pods and all those kind of things, right? But that's part of creating. We're talking about shifting the landscape, right? That's part of creating a different landscape. Is people like Google and you know, these big corporations have tried to find ways to make work enjoyable whilst increasing productivity. That's the forever, focus of a business. Yeah, but at the end of the day, we haven't adapted that in a service-based industry because, one, we've never thought about it, or two, maybe it's not feasible or it's not possible. Right? I don't know the answer. But if you want to then go back to how do you create an enjoyable workforce that loves coming to work, that isn't thinking about, I just want to work less and earn more, because that's not fulfilling for someone. And it's very hard for me to accept that someone that got into the professional industry of physiotherapy to help people all of a sudden wants to work less and earn more. It's not in their psyche.
Yeah.
They're doing that because they're not fulfilled in their job role. They're not fulfilled in the workplace. And I think it's the workplace over the job role. All right. So if you create fulfillment in the workplace with creating a team, with creating a good environment, with having all these things that would work, would they be asking for less hours and more pay? I don't know the answer, but that's what we should be looking for.
Yeah.
We can't just say, oh, this 6-month study got 44% less absenteeism and 70% more productivity. Cool. It's not good enough to use a 6-month study on corporations as opposed to what's the reality of what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And I don't like that we're talking about increasing productivity when you're not addressing the root cause of the decrease in productivity. That's the reality.
Love it.
Oh,
You're
that's
right.
Good. I'm glad. No, you G'd me up. You riled me up.
That was the plan. Now, James, I want to dive into how we can actually change that, in our workplace and things that we do specifically. But before we do that, I just want to show you, because I know you don't watch the news, I just want you to listen to this bulletin. Here you go.
Okay. What?
Throw that on. That's your right one, mate. I've got the left
right
one. All right, here we go.
Well, it seems the answer to solving the problem of burnout may be just around the corner, with a 4-day working week trial at the same rate of pay producing positive results. Almost 2,900 workers around the world, including in Australia, took part in the 6-month trial. The results showed higher job satisfaction, better mental health, lower fatigue and fewer sleeping problems in participants. The findings could shape the federal government's upcoming productivity roundtable in the hopes of creating workforce-focused outcomes.
Yeah, look, it's that's a lot of what we've been talking about, right? We've literally...
But I'm just showing you, it is on, like, people are listening to this straight away. They're talking about the key words like burnout, and productivity is still the same.
Yeah, that's, that's how the news get viewers, right?
And
by using inflammatory comments.
And the federal government's going to consider this and blah, blah, right? So...
Yeah, look, I think the federal government got to look at themselves. They're the ones that caused this.
We're not going to get into that part.
No, I'm not. But
yes,
that's the reality.
I understand. And, when we I want to just like touch on this beast that we've been speaking about. And it's not the beast's fault. I really don't think that. I know I get really frustrated about it. We have strong conversations about it all the time. But it's sort of, you spoke about the government there and playing a role, but, COVID playing a role. But it's like innate behaviors now that, like, people are looking for this, looking for...
Yeah, and I think that they should.
Yeah, and people aren't going through, finishing school earlier and going into trades or going to work as quick as they can and moving out of home, people staying home longer.
That's the developing workforce. That's always going to change. We need to adapt to that.
No, I just want to preface that beast is what we've created as a whole. It's not like, we're not talking about an individual's issue. We're talking about, like, that is a cultural workforce issue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you touched on a little bit about creating, like, a space that people are happy to come to work and, like, their job satisfaction and things like that, and how can we curve that as opposed to the old model of it being too sort of, especially in the physio industry, so clinical, and not moving to this sort of, or falling over to the sort of pressures of going to a 4-day work week where it's just too difficult in service based. What can we do and what things we're already doing, but what can we do in the clinic, in our clinics of Switch to make it, improve that atmosphere and want people to come to work, make it desirable?
I think it comes back to, when you're looking at something as simple as how do you make it more desirable, right? Or how do you want to influence people to not, always be thinking about burnout, always be thinking about, the impact of their work. Like you gotta make it not feel like work. That's the reality. You got to make it not feel like work, because then you're not going to think, oh, I don't want to go there. Oh, like I feel burnt out, or oh, I'm tired, or oh, like
Yes, it feels like you're
I
going
think
to do.
that's the start.
Yeah.
The start needs to be is that it shouldn't feel like work. How many times have we heard the phrase like, oh, I didn't realize I was doing this because it didn't feel like work.
100%.
So I guess that comes back to the purpose, the vision, but not of the company, of the individual first. You got to know as an individual what it is that you want to achieve out of your working life. If it is just to, and I don't think this would be for anyone, but if it is just, I just want to go in there, I just want to earn my money, I want to fuck off. Like, you got to dig deeper first off, because you're never going to be satisfied with work. You're always going to hate work, right? So you need to...
And there's never going to be a balance between
100%. There will
your
never be a
work
balance.
and your lifestyle.
Even if you work
Even if you
2 hours, you'll fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Let alone 38 or 30,
Yeah.
right? That's the first thing. Let's tame the beast.
Yes.
If you want to call it tame the beast, well, let's put some ownership on both.
Yeah.
You asked before about how do you do that, and
Without killing yourself first. Yeah.
It's a shift. It's a shift from before, where it was employer driven and the employee had to just cop it.
Yep.
The current landscape is that the employee dictates a lot more and the employer has to cop it, and that doesn't work either. There needs to be a balance between the two. And it starts with the employee really knowing what they want to achieve, what is their purpose, what is their drive, what is their mission. And then go find a company that aligns with that. I know that sounds so cliche, but then as a company, you need to be doing that and presenting that and creating that environment and creating that space. Right? And then go look for employees that match that. Because if there is an alignment there of what you're trying to do and what you're trying to create in the workplace, and you go find employees, and I know that's not easy to go find employees that align there, then you're not going to feel like you're working. Like, you think about, I'm going to put this back onto you. Do you feel like you're working every day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week?
No.
Why?
No, because I enjoy what I do.
Exactly.
And I know it aligns. You mentioned it before, and I don't want to just say it because you've just mentioned, but it aligns with my purpose. Like, I have a drive that I work on every single day, but that satisfies me when I'm working on it.
Correct.
So even if I'm present at work, like in the rooms trading or whatever, or if I'm at home or if I'm in the office, it doesn't really change. I don't really think about the hours or whatever. I'm thinking about the purpose and the drive, and that's satisfying.
Exactly. And I think that's what the business needs to create.
It's a shame about the people, though. Sometimes the company's not that good.
Talking
Especially
about
in the office.
my company.
Especially in the office on a Monday morning.
No, I love Monday mornings.
No. Joking, I'm joking.
But I think it's more around that. And then as a business, whether it's a service-based business or whatever it is, right? That business needs to be trying to provide an environment that if you've got people that are aligned, that love coming to work, that it's fulfilling their purpose.
Yeah.
It is your job as a business to fuel that, to continue to create that environment.
Yeah.
That's how you curb this problem. You don't curb this problem by going, oh, let's cut your hours, but still give you a shitty environment. It's not going to change.
I hate coming to work 5 days a week. Now I only hate it 4 days.
Yeah, now I only have 4 days. And yeah, cool.
And
like, I purely believe the productivity increased is because the time frame decreased. Like, you have to do the same amount of work in less time.
Yeah.
Like,
Get it done quicker.
Exactly.
No stuff around. That's
and
a
the
good point,
70%
actually.
increase is
That's
very
really-
closely correlated to the 80% of work
That's a good
hours.
point.
Like,
Oh, my God.
You know-
look, yeah, it's like, got to get this job done before end of
because
close of
the
business
deadlines
Thursday. I don't have
change.
Friday. Yeah,
The deadlines don't change in that
Yeah.
study.
So another thing that we do is, so obviously you're talking about, making sure the people in the business align with the business and like the vision, and then that sort of drives itself, right? People want to be there. It's a happier place to be. It's a better atmosphere. People want to be there, et cetera, right? And culture is obviously extremely important, things like that. But what I was just thinking when we're talking about like, the deadlines finishing up on Thursday, man, we only work till our clinics are only open till Friday midday. So really we do a 2.5 day weekend every weekend anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Look, that's a benefit that we've
it's
always promoted.
It's a 4.5 day week
right?
at the moment.
We work but we do 38 hours.
We do 38 hours, but yeah.
4.5 days, sorry.
Yeah.
Right? So...
And that was a shift because we knew that was important for people. We used to work Friday afternoons, work Saturdays.
Yeah.
But we knew that people they valued that weekend and what have you. And that was so you're saying, so that was an adjustment from the business without killing the business or killing the cow, if that makes sense.
Changing the
it's like milking the cow without killing the cow.
Correct. But not only that, like we still needed to service a certain number of clients at the same rate, and employees paid didn't change, their hours didn't change. We just modeled it a little bit to change that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not 3 day weekend, but 2.5, like still pretty good. Like, we joke, that on a Friday Arvo or in summer, you're going down to Maroubra Beach, like,
100%.
Why not? Like, you finish early, why not? But so it's how you utilize that time, right? And when we've talked about work-life balance in the past, right, we've highlighted heavily the importance of utilizing your time. It has nothing to do with balance. It has to do with the emphasis and purpose that you put around certain aspects of your time.
Yeah.
Whether that is work, whether that is free time, whether that is family time, or whatever else you want to call it, right? It's not about balance. It's about valuing that time. So I would strongly suggest or strongly like to find out if the value on the work time, irrespective of whether it's 38 hours, 30 hours, whatever the fuck that is, if the value on that work time is there, would people be saying this? Like, would people give a shit that, oh, I'm burnt out, oh, I'm tired, oh, I'm sick, oh, I want less work and more pay? Would you be saying that if the value was on that work time? If it aligned with what you want?
Yeah, that's interesting because I also... does this also just, by moving the 4 days, just move the needle a little bit? You know what I mean? Are we just being more tolerant, and then what's gonna happen in another 5-10 years?
Yeah,
are we gonna drop it even further? Like, or
or
the industry would just be killed completely.
Yeah, well, look at that
because it just can't survive, and you put the pressure on. It comes back. I know, we're in this. You mentioned it before. The people that work for Switch, like want to come and play for Switch, right? We sort of talked about that alignment before, but you mentioned the clients, and at the end of the day, we don't want our service is about getting people to their outcome, and if we're changing the landscape for the employees, and then that ends up where that cost ends up going onto onto the clients, then we're not going to get the clients coming through the door. We're going to struggle to get them to their outcomes. And it's going to be this vicious cycle. Then physio is going to be like, well, they don't work. They're too expensive,
Yeah, and that's the potential of what could happen.
And when you enjoy coming to work, I mean, we know this with our business model. We like going on. We're a bit, we're a part of our communities, our local communities. We've created our own communities. Like, that is super important to us, to go on a journey with the client. It's not burn and churn. That's not what we're about, and that's where that job satisfaction comes from.
Yeah,
right. But we're in danger of killing that.
In saying that, though, we create that environment, but you still need to find employees that want to thrive in that environment. Like, let's call it how it is. We've found employees that we thought would thrive in that environment, and they fucking hate it.
Yeah,
and that's okay. That's the reality of individualism. Yeah. If we were all robots, if we were all your chat GPTs of the world, then we wouldn't need to create a difference, right? Not everyone loves what we do. and they don't love it, and they do hate it, and they don't stick around. That's the reality of business,
Yeah.
right? That's the reality of free market and free will, right? So what's important is that the employer and employee know exactly what they're getting into. I strongly believe that that's where job dissatisfaction comes from. You know, people maybe get into jobs and then don't realize what they're getting themselves into. Or people take on a job role and then go, oh, fuck, this really isn't for me. Yeah? And I think that that's both on the employer and employee, that they didn't properly paint that out in the interview process, or didn't maybe trial it to see how it would go. Because when you have that when you're in a workplace that you love, you're not going to be thinking about, how do I take a sickie? How can I work less? Like, yeah, we all want to enjoy our life out of work, of course. When you've got families and stuff like that, you know, you need to be there, right? And you want to enjoy and value those times outside of work.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be thinking about it as much if there is value in the workplace.
I completely get that. And I think we're going to wrap this up, but you know, we've gone through a lot there. It's interesting that we consider these things. And I think it's because there's definitely a pressure on employers to sort of like, okay, do we have to consider this? Because if that's what everyone's, you know, that's what the media is putting out there, that's what everyone's thinking. You know, I feel like there is like that pressure to at least acknowledge these things and then adjust and however we need to modify or tolerate or compromise just to continue providing the same service.
They're the wrong words. It shouldn't be. We shouldn't have to tolerate or compromise.
Well, yeah, but that's what we have to a certain degree.
Why?
Because if we don't, then you know, recruitment is going to take a hit.
Yeah, but I think then we shouldn't be.
Retention's going to take a hit. 44% of that study, 44%. I mean, it wasn't service-based industry,
but we should be adapting
44%
as opposed to tolerating and compromising.
Yeah, adapting. All right, okay, you're using a different word. This guy's getting hung up on the words
tolerate and
now.
compromise. Like, I don't think we should compromise the service we give our clients.
I understand.
And I don't think we should compromise the values of the business.
You're saying the service doesn't need to compromise. Completely agree.
Yeah. Now, do we need to adapt the workplace to meet our vision and then find people that and adapt people to our vision as well?
Yeah.
Yes, there's got to be a give and take. Yeah, but we don't compromise.
For the expectations on the employer and the employee to actually meet a little bit.
Yeah,
there needs to be.
But both need to adapt.
Whatever. This guy
compromising means you're giving up something that could be really important and could be a high value that then breaks the house of cards.
Well, I don't think employer has the ability to do that, but employee can go, I'm going to go sideways or, you know, lateral somewhere else because I want that working from home situation.
But that's important that they know that. And then that's not the right employee for the employer.
Yeah, so then there's going to be less employees for
and that's better.
Practice.
And that's better because scarcity creates demand. Demand creates value. That's completely fine. We need to be comfortable with that.
That's heavy.
Oh, sorry.
That pressure's going to increase then.
Yeah, but it already is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we put up a job ad, we get 50 applicants. 46 of them don't live in this country.
Yeah.
But we could bring them over here and compromise on the service that we give just to adapt, just to put a body there. Like, we could do that, but we don't. Because not to say that those 46 aren't what we're looking for, but unless they're specifically what we're looking for, we can't compromise because that decreases our value.
Yeah. So like in the example of the 4-day week where we've actually, whenever that was, where we changed the work week to 4.5, I mean, it's not
38 hours,
but 4.5 day week. We've been doing that, a few years now?
A long time.
Yeah, at least. That's what you're talking about, adapting, as opposed to compromise.
No, but not only that, not only adapting that, but then adapting what you need to do within the workplace to create that environment. And then you got to then go...
Because with like, sorry to put you off, but the other thing is like, when we talk about burnout as that like a key that employees are constantly looking at, it's like, okay, well then we adapt by adding in more support, more whatever.
All of the above, right? As a workplace,
mentoring, etc.
As a workplace, we need to adapt to create an environment that people love coming to work. But we don't just do shit if it goes against our vision, our purpose, and our values. Right? So what I'm trying to say is we could be a cold doctor's studio and then go, fuck off, just do your work and go home. Right? But then you can't expect job satisfaction.
No.
You can't expect people to love coming to work. Now, if you set the tone of you want to create an environment where people love coming to work, you have a set of values, you have a vision and a purpose of what we want to do with the business, we need to adapt on how that looks and what that looks like for the individual. How do they see themselves in that workplace? The framework doesn't change, but it doesn't mean we're going to get it 100% right what happens within that framework. We need to adapt to make it better. But you don't compromise on the framework. You don't change the framework just because someone goes, I want to have this and I want to have that, when it doesn't match your business and could devalue your business. Or completely cut it, like just be a catastrophe within the business. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
No, completely understand. So really, to sort of finish us up here, the 4-day work week in the health service is going to compromise. It's going to be,
I don't have the answer, but right now, it's either going to devalue our service because we got to charge more.
Yeah.
Or there's always going to be some sort of way to find a solution. I'm not against it, but I can't see how it would work right now. Yeah. Will it increase productivity? It probably wouldn't in our work, in our kind of job, because our productivity is very much aligned to how many clients you see. Right? So by reducing the work hours, you're reducing the availability to see clients, which is completely fine. Would it improve, or would it reduce burnout, or would it reduce the amount of sick leave?
Apparently, it has.
I can pick you.
It has in this
company,
study, but
the guys that take the least amount of sick leave, and you interviewed them and questioned them on, what their values are and what they love about work, and you take the other guys that take the more sick leave, it would be completely different answers. And that's your fucking problem. And it's a problem in our business. It's a problem in every business. Like, no one's fucking perfect. If we took the top 3 guys that take the least sick leave and the top 3 guys that take the most sick leave, their answers on what they love about our workplace would be chalk and cheese. Yeah, it has nothing to do with productivity and work-life balance or anything like that. It has everything to do with they don't love coming to work, so they're finding reasons not to come. And then productivity decreases because of that. It's fucking plain and simple. We don't need to analyze this and do a fucking study in a government round table and all that kind of shit. Like, man.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Because when you're saying that, I'm thinking 100% like, if I was to have a day off, and it was a treating day, especially, that means I'm letting those clients down. Like those clients that booked in their schedule to come in to keep on their journey or wherever they want to get to. I'm not doing that anymore. Like I'm a roadblock in that.
100%.
But when we're,
but you're valuing that based on your alignment with the purpose of not only you, but the purpose of the business.
Yeah.
And that's the feeling that you have.
But the people that are finding the ways to not go to work, that's when they're not aligning. That's what you're saying.
They're not aligning. Yeah. They don't love coming to work.
Yeah.
They don't value their job. They don't value the impact that they can make at that workplace. I guarantee you put that person in a different workplace that maybe matches with them a little bit more, you get a different fucking person.
Different result. Yeah. There you go. Maybe
And it
maybe
has
that-
nothing to do with generation. It has nothing to do with age. It has purely everything to do with their alignment in that business.
There you go, guys. I think we'll wrap this one up, but so much to think about there, and I think at the end of the day, loving coming to work, having that, making sure you're in the right place, that you align with the business, and then it doesn't feel like work. That's what we need to look for as employers, and what employees need to look for, and they need to know what they're looking for themselves.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So 4 days is off the cards for now.
No, I'm not saying
Off
it's
the
off
cards
the
for
cards.
now.
For now, yeah, I can't, and I don't see a solution. So yes, I think it's off the cards for now, but I'm not saying that it's not
No.
possible.
Yeah, of course. It's interesting when these things come up. We always discuss and debate them and see if it's actually possible. But at the end of the day, one of the other big takeaways there is that it needs to strike the balance between employer and employee. And if that balance is right, then both parties are going to grow and get what they want.
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
But doing this, it's going to put the balance out.
Yeah, it would put the balance out in a service-based industry.
In our industry, yeah.
I don't think it would.
Sounds like
in a lot of these other industries.
it'd be interesting to see what happens in the other industries that have been listed in here.
Yeah, I think it would work really well for them.
Yeah, and then they'll have an extra day off so they can come to physio.
Mate, love that.
And
Line it
they're
up.
happier.
Line it up.
No, they come during their work day anyway.
Exactly. It's like, that's
I was
why
like,
I know they're not working.
Sometimes I have
These
clients
guys
like,
have high-profile jobs and they're coming into the physio at freaking 10:30, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Oh, it's my lunch break. Your lunch break at 10? Come on, man.
I've locked out a meeting. Do you remember when it used to be like our busiest times? We'd have like the retirees or whatever during the day, right? Or people on holiday. But the night times or the early mornings before they went to work, or after they went to work, they were our busiest time. People would come in wearing
100%.
suits and or whatever, right?
Straight from work.
There's
There's traffic and I'm running 5
come
minutes
from the
late.
city. Now they come in tracksuits anytime during the day.
Exactly.
And they're just like, oh yeah, I was just
I
or
just
thongs
locked it
on.
out.
Yeah. I'm working today. Yeah.
My computer's logged on,
It's the
but
same
no one
people.
will know.
Yeah. The best ones when they're wearing like a button up, nice shirt on the top, and then below they're just wearing their board shorts and their thongs. And I know they've been for a surf, and then they just put their shirt on.
Yeah.
No, but it's
But they're
interesting.
working.
They're working.
Productivity is through the roof.
Very good. Well, good on them. All right, let's wrap that one up, JB. Just quickly, at the moment, mate, the women's Euros are on. I'm not sure if you've
Yes.
seen much of that.
No,
But-
forgot that.
You forgot it's on?
I forgot that it was on.
I've got some few keen viewers in my circle, so they've been keeping me posted. So I've had to keep an eye on it. Mate, there's some good football. England are the funniest team. Men or women,
Yeah.
they just have the same. I mean, women seem to have a little bit more of a spark, actually, but
Culture of choking.
almost choking.
Almost
It
choking.
hasn't choked yet. We're at the final this weekend, so once this goes to air, we'll know the result of that. But England and Spain are in the final.
Yeah.
England have won on penalties in the quarterfinal. Then they went to extra time in the semi-final and scored right at the end. Mate,
Yeah.
the scenes are unreal. They were rubbish for the most part of the game,
Yeah.
but they're scraping through. Will they win? I don't know.
Look,
Spain look good.
I think it'll be a good final if it's
Yeah.
Spain and England.
But it's just so funny how
As
it's
long
just
as no one
typical
kisses
England.
the captain, would be sweet.
Oh my God. You brought that up. Jeez. Watch out for that trophy presentation. All right, guys.
Thanks,
James,
guys.
it's been an amazing podcast. See you next time.
See you next time.